What's going on, everybody? It's Andre here. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about 5 reasons why you should not buy a house in Ontario in 2021. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Andre, you're Canada's realtor. Why are you telling me not to purchase a property in 2021? And the answer to that question is, although I firmly believe that everyone at some point in their lifetime should purchase real estate, it's important to understand that not everyone is going to have the same timeline to do so. I believe purchasing any type of real estate is a great asset, whether it be a residential home or condo for yourself. If you ever leave and rent it out, it becomes an investment property. You can also look into commercial real estate or even purchase land. But just because all your friends are getting pre-approved and looking for homes in 2021 does not mean that it is the right decision for you, as we'll talk about in the 5 reasons here. Also, if you're new here, what's up? As mentioned, my name is Andre. I'm a real estate agent here in Ontario servicing Barrie and the Simcoe area, and on this channel I make real estate related videos like this one, so check them out if you like it. Also drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts on this video. For reason number 1, it is a competitive and fast-paced market right now. You used to be able to slowly start your home search off over the period of a couple weeks, maybe check some properties out here on the weekend. The average days on market was between 15 to 25, so you had the opportunity to visit them twice before making an offer. But right now, if you don't view a property on the first or second day that it's listed, there's a really good chance that you're going to miss out. And although I think the 2021 spring market is going to cool down that competition with the amount of new listings we have coming to market, that fast pace is going to continue to stay there, so that once a property is listed, you have to do your best to get in as soon as you can. The fear of missing out is extremely present, and it's really frustrating for buyers and buyer agents alike to see property after property, offer on property after property, and not being able to get a deal. And because of the competitive state of the market that we're in, we are seeing firm offers left, right, and center, meaning it's extremely hard to compete with if you're a buyer that needs to have conditions in your offer. And 2, we are seeing buyers waive their conditions, so there's no opportunity to walk away from property. Every offer that you're putting in is damn near final. And number 2, you are getting rid of conditions such as home inspection, and that opens up the risk to closing on a property and then finding out that there's mold in the attic or there's a foundation leak, and that is an expense that you now have to incur. Reason number 2, and this one's not commonly mentioned, but are you fully committed to the person or party that you are purchasing this property with? Now, this may not apply to everyone, but if you're purchasing with a friend, fiance, partner, or investor, are both parties fully committed to this very, very big financial and legal decision? Now, the reason I mention this is because we recently came across a story where 2 individuals decided to purchase a property without being fully committed or married, and now a split is taking place. One wants to sell the property and one wants to keep it. And when it comes down to real estate, which is arguably one of the biggest financial purchases that many make within their lifetime, you want to make sure that everyone is on the same page if a situation like that arises, and that everyone is fully committed to what's going down. Meaning, if you're buying this property, you're buying it to hold it for 5, 10, 15 years, and not just purchasing it because you want to in the moment and then deciding that you want to sell it shortly afterwards. Statistics show that there are a lot of first-time home buyers currently out there looking. Interest rates are low. It's a great time to get into the market and become a homeowner, and we are seeing a lot of couples and newly engaged individuals looking to purchase their first home. Now, I'm not necessarily saying don't buy, but make sure to have an in-depth conversation, or maybe even put it on paper, about what this decision would entail for everyone involved. In short, buying a house should be more than just saying, hey, we got pre-approved, let's go buy a house. Reason number 3, employment and commute. I think it's fair to say that we have now adjusted to the new normal, and that if you have your working from home or job hours back, they're going to stay that way for the foreseeable future and hopefully increase. What I mean by this is purchasing outside of the area that you currently reside. If you're working from home now, that's great. You should come to Barrie and buy a house that has some land, a backyard, maybe even get your ravine lot so you have some time to enjoy it. But if you're not 100% certain that you're going to be working from home for the next 2 to 3 years, are you ready to take on that commute? Are you ready to travel more, spend more on gas and insurance? Are you ready to be further away from your family and everything that, commuting outside of where you currently live entails and what it involves? Now, I realize for many this isn't a deal breaker or deciding factor on whether or not they should purchase a property, but for some, location is extremely important. And if you're not able to afford in the GTA and you're looking at the surrounding regions, it could be worth to wait and see what this 2nd and 3rd year of COVID looks like for you in terms of your work and your commute, because the last thing you want to do is purchase outside in one of these regions and then regret the fact that you now have to sit in traffic for an hour and a half every day just to get to and from work, and the expenses that come with it. Reason number 4 is encumbrance. Real estate is not a liquid asset or investment. It's much tougher to purchase compared to stocks, and it's also much harder to sell off or get rid of. usually it takes some time, between 30 to 90 days to close and get the money into your account after you've purchased it, as opposed to something being more liquid like stock. So that's something to keep in mind. When you buy a property, you are tied to that property usually for a number of years, as opposed to renting, where you can actually just hand in your 2 months notice and leave. For example, if you lost your job and you can no longer afford to live where you do, you can hand in your 2 months notice, find someplace cheaper, or move back home. But as a real estate owner, that's not a flexibility that you have. You as the owner have the additional responsibility and sometimes financial burden of carrying this property. And if you're thinking in your head, you know what, if I have to leave or I lost my job, I'll just rent my apartment or my residence out and then I'll move somewhere else. Well, you got to be careful with that too, because if you purchase this as your principal residence, the bank might come knocking and saying you owe them another 15% on the down payment. And without going into detail, if you aren't ready to sustain the carrying costs of purchasing real estate, are you really ready to take that next step and become a landlord or a real estate investor so early on? This kind of ties into commute and employment and a couple of other things, but if you aren't ready to settle down in a specific city or neighborhood for the next 5 to 10 years, you have to really sit down and think about the pros and cons of owning versus renting real estate. Reason number 5 is affordability. I know it's obvious, so that's why I kept it to the end, but realistically, can you afford a house right now? Now, as a realtor, I've heard this many times where prospective buyers tell me that they want to purchase a property because their rent is more than what a mortgage would cost. And the answer to that is yes, in some cases, but that's not the only expense that comes with home ownership, especially right now where prices are at an all-time high. So if we give an example, the average rent for a 3-bedroom townhouse in Barrie right now is anywhere between $2,000 to $2,400. So let's say it's $2,200 plus utilities of $300 a month. So the rent for a 3-bedroom townhouse in Barrie is $2,500 a month. Now you can double check this for yourself, but the average price of a townhouse in Barrie right now, a 3-bedroom townhouse in Barrie, is between $575,000 to $650,000. And remember, it's still a competitive market. So let's say your loan amount has to be $600,000, 5% down, 5-year fixed at 2.34% over 25 years. You're looking at probably over $2,500 a month just on the mortgage payments. Now add $300 a month for utilities, $300 a month for taxes. On top of that, you have closing costs like the lawyer to be able to purchase this property. And as a buyer, you're paying land transfer tax to the government, which is again 1% of the total sale price of the property. And that's not including the general maintenance that your landlord does for you, or the general maintenance that needs to be done with real estate. Maybe the roof has to be replaced, update the appliances, I don't know, update something, a leak, lawn care, anything like that. I don't think it's far-fetched to say that purchasing is 5 to 20% more expensive monthly than renting in the short term. This is so important to consider and understand it. Do you have the savings, the proper budget, and financial capabilities of what it costs to own a property in 2021 or 2022? And that's all for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Like mentioned, there is a lot to consider when purchasing a property, so don't just take my word for it. Make sure you do your own research on whether or not it's the right decision for you in 2021. Feel free to check out some of my other videos if you like this one, and I will see you in the next one.